Hello, I am Serena Cornelli, and I'll be telling you about The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. The story begins in the 17th century Boston. A young woman, Hester Prynne, is led from the town prison with her infant daughter, Pearl, in her arms and the scarlet letter, A, on her chest. A man in the crowd tells an elderly onlooker that Hester is being punished for adultery, hence the letter A. The story behind this is that Hester's husband sent her ahead to America, but he never arrived in Boston. While waiting for her husband, Hester has apparently had an affair, as she has given birth to a child. She will not reveal her lover's identity, so she is forced, as punishment for her sin and her secrecy, to wear the scarlet letter along with her public shaming. On this day, Hester is led to the town scaffold and is publicly harassed by the townspeople, but still refuses to identify her child's father. The elderly onlooker is Hester's missing husband, who is calling himself Roger Chillingworth, a skillful doctor. He settles in Boston to get his revenge. He reveals his true identity to no one but Hester. After a few years, Hester supports herself by working as a seamstress, and Pearl grows into a willful, mischievous child. Shunned by the community, they lived in a small cottage on the outskirts of Boston. Community officials attempt to take Pearl away from Hester, but with the help of Arthur Dimmesdale, a young minister, the mother and daughter manage to stay together. Dimmesdale, however, appears to be wasting away and suffers from mysterious heart trouble. Chillingworth attaches himself to the ailing minister and eventually moves in with him so that he can provide his patient with daily care. Chillingworth also suspects that there may be a connection between the minister's torments and Hester's secret, and he begins to test Dimmesdale to see what he can learn. One afternoon, while the minister sleeps, Chillingworth discovers a mark on the man's chest, which convinces him that his suspicions are correct. One night, when Pearl and her mother are returning home from a visit to a deathbed, when they find Dimmesdale atop the town scaffold, trying to punish himself for his sins, Hester and Pearl join him and the three link hands. Dimmesdale refuses Pearl's request that he acknowledge her publicly the next day, and a meteor marks a dull red A in the night sky. Hester can see that the minister's condition is worsening, and she resolves to intervene. She goes to Chillingworth and asks him to stop adding to Dimmesdale's self-torment. Chillingworth refuses. Hester arranges a secret encounter with Dimmesdale to discuss important conflicts. The former lovers decide to flee to Europe, where they can live as a family. The day before the ship is to sail, the townspeople gather for a holiday, and Dimmesdale preaches his most eloquent service ever. Meanwhile, Hester has learned that Chillingworth knows of their plan and has booked passage on the same ship. Dimmesdale, leaving the church after his sermon, sees Hester and Pearl standing before the town scaffold. He impulsively goes toward the scaffold with his lover and his daughter, and confesses publicly, exposing a scarlet letter seared into the flesh of his chest, and he falls dead. Frustrated in his revenge, Chillingworth dies a year later. Hester and Pearl leave Boston, and no one knows what has happened to them. Many years later, Hester returns alone, still wearing the scarlet letter, to live in her cottage. When Hester dies, she is buried next to Dimmesdale. The two share a single tombstone which bears the scarlet letter A.